Well, hello aviation lovers and welcome back to the Vliegpiet channel. This week it's time for the Q&A session, the questions and answers. I received a lot of questions from you, thank you for sending them in. And if you like these types of videos, please leave a comment, like and subscribe. And I'll see you all again for another video from the cockpit. But for now, enjoy this one. Let's start with the first question. This one is from JackLoose3857. Of course, I'm gonna put that in the description as well. Hi Piet, I really enjoy your videos. As a flight simmer, I try to learn from them as well. There seem to be 3 ways to descend, Jack Lewis says. Using level change, following the VNAV path, or manually setting a vertical speed. How do you decide which one to use? Well, of course, it really depends on the situation and the ATC instructions. In normal operations, VNAV is preferred because it gives you the most economical path, and of course it's the best for keeping up with all the restrictions in the airspace. But sometimes though, VNAV is not fit for the situation. For example, when you fly to over northern France on our way to Amsterdam, they normally let you descend a bit earlier and they want you to descend a bit faster than just with a standard 1000 feet per minute. So I used a vertical speed for that, 1500 feet per minute. That's a nice way to start the descent. And then of course later on we'll switch to VNAV. Sometimes you need to lose altitude a bit more quickly because you get a shortcut or the wind is different than you would expect or the speed or whatever, and then level change can really help you to pick up your VNAV path again. So in short, VNAV for normal planned descents, or level change when you need to descend faster or for tactical reasons, vertical speed for controlled steady descents in other situations. More questions. During descent you go gradually from flaps 0 to flaps 30 or 40. How do you decide when to go from flaps up to flaps 1, 5, etc.? Is it speed, altitude, distance to the runway, or by feel? It has to do with, of course, the approach to the runway. When you are approaching the localizer, it's better to start with flaps 1 and flaps 5. We always intercept the localizer with flaps 5 and then we come within a 6-mile radius, and before the 6-mile radius we go to gear down and flaps 15, and then in the last part we switch to our landing flap configuration, which is 30 or 40 for a normal landing. Let's see, yes of course, then the logical next question is of course, when do you use flaps 30 or when do you use flaps 40? The main factor is the runway length. If the runway length comes below let's say 2500 feet, then we'll start to think about flaps 40. Of course, it all depends on the wind, it depends on the weight of the aircraft. If the aircraft is really light, we can also land with flaps 30 with a shorter runway. But if the runway is getting a bit shorter, yes, then we're going to use flaps 40. Also, when we use an autoland, then we want to use flaps 40 because you have a better visual on the runway. Ah, yeah, also an interesting question. Speed brakes, is that an emergency solution or a normal tool? In my simulator, I often need speed brakes during descent. As a passenger, I don't see them used much. Are speed brakes something you try to avoid? To some extent, yes, mainly because of passenger comfort. The speed brakes are also called spoilers, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're spoiling the normal airflow over the wing. That disturbed air over the wing is also disturbing the stabilizer, which is like the tail wing. And because that airflow is now disturbed, the airplane starts to flutter a little bit. And that's of course what we want to avoid because of passenger comfort. But that said, sometimes you do need your speed brakes, either because the air traffic control asks us to descend quicker, or we get a shortcut, we end up a little bit high, so we need to lose some altitude, or even in a situation when we're at cruising level and the speed tends to go above the barber pole, we can use the speed brake to decelerate the airplane. New question, new follower. Question from Sinje9102. Ah, yes, of course, the question, the $1 million question. Are you going to train for the new flying toy, the Airbus A321NEO, or will you stay on the 737 until the end? Well, I won't be transferring anymore because I'm already close to my retirement date. It's going to be a year and a half before I retire, so there's not enough time left to even fly on the Airbus. So the training will be not really sufficient. So that's why I'm gonna stay on the Boeing 737, which is still a very nice and modern airplane. Thus operating both the A321NEO and the 737 cause issues for the airline. Yeah, of course it does, but my company decided to switch to the Airbus. And well, of course, that switch is a long-term plan because the airplane is more fuel sufficient. The Airbus takes more passengers, and that's the reason why they choose to switch to the Airbus. But yeah, of course, now you have to train your crew and the Boeing and the Airbus. But of course, it's a lot of hassle for the company because now they have to train all the pilots in new airplanes, they have to train the technicians for new airplanes. All the books needs to be rewritten for either the Boeing or the Airbus. But in time all the Boeings will be phased out, so then it's only the Airbus. You also need to have double standby crews because you need to have a standby crew for the Airbus and you need to have a standby crew for the Boeing. So it's quite a complex puzzle, but they are coping with it. Can you show more of the work outside the cockpit? You take us into the cockpit, thank you. But there's also briefings, walkarounds, etc. So can you show more of that? That's a bit difficult because it has to do with privacy and my company doesn't want to be, in the picture. You might have already guessed that. So I fortunately had to decide to not film the outside of the airplane, and also not my colleagues and the briefing areas. That's all the privacy rules, unfortunately. A question I get a lot. What's the most bizarre thing you've experienced on board? The most bizarre thing I've experienced on board. Did you ever crash an airplane? People even ask me. No, I didn't, because I wouldn't be here, right? One of the bizarre things it was quite a thrilling day. It was in the early days when I started flying. I flew in America, in the States, for about a year in Florida. I flew the Beech 1900 C model. At one point we had an engine failure just before the landing. All smoke in the cockpit and smoke in the cabin. And just right after the landing we had to evacuate the airplane. So I can tell you that's quite a thrilling day. My knees were a bit shaky and yeah. But that was all went well. Nobody got hurt. So at the end of the day, it was a good situation, but quite thrilling, I can tell you that. Next question, Ashwin8. Ashwin8, welcome on the channel. What are the spinning wheels on the center console? That's another $1 million question. In the cockpit, there's a center console with two wheels that sometimes spin by themselves. They make a rrr sound. What are they? They're called the stabilizer trim wheels. They show the movement of the horizontal stabilizer when trimming the aircraft, either manually or automatically. Whew, all these questions. Did I actually mention that I love coffee? So, it's time for a cup of coffee and I'm gonna make that in my KOFFIEMAATJE. Do you want a KOFFIEMAATJE as well? There's a link in the description. So here's the KOFFIEMAATJE. Pour in a bit of water, put in the coffee cup. Let's continue with the questions. Gert-Jan Messi has a question as well. Are you doing a new type rating due to the fleet transition? No, unfortunately not. Of course, that's the same answer as before. I'm pretty close to my retirement. So no new type rating for me, unfortunately. New question, Ron van Geest. Braking after touchdown, is that the pilot or automatic? Normally we use our Autobrakes, but there is already one clip where the Autobrakes didn't function. And then of course we have to brake manually. But the Autobrakes really do a good job. We can put them on several settings, 1, 2, 3 or max. Of course when a really short runway or when it's wet or whatever, we can use the max Autobrake setting. Also when it's slippery we can use another Autobrake setting. In normal operations we normally use 2 or 3. Let's see, we have more ground operations. Steering on the ground. If you don't touch the pedals, will the aircraft keep going straight? Steering on the ground, we do that with our tiller. A tiller is a very short steering wheel which is located on the left and the right hand side, so both pilots can steer on the ground. And with the tiller we can steer the nose wheel even better and more than only with our pedals. So steering on the ground, we use our tiller. So what if we don't use our tiller and we don't use our feet? Will the aircraft go straight ahead? Well, of course, in a perfect world, the aircraft will go straight ahead. But if the wind is a little bit from the side, our tail will catch the wind. And then, of course, it will weather vane. So then we really do have to correct for the steering on the ground. Ah, that's nice. We also have some general questions. Oh, there goes the KOFFIEMAATJE. What a timing, right? Look at that. Coffee! Thank you, KOFFIEMAATJE, and cheers. Time for some general questions. What do you do in your free time? Oh, that's a nice question. Of course, beyond flying, I also do some other stuff, like editing these videos, of course. That takes up a lot of time as well. I'm married to Minke, and together we're called the Happy Coffee Couple. And we also have a YouTube channel for that. So why not check us out on YouTube as well, the Happy Coffee Couple. I will put a link in the description. And apart from that, my wife Minke also has her own Instagram with poetry, so follow her there as well. More questions from Sinja9102. What if you don't click with your colleague? Oh yeah, that happens, right? Is that part of the CRM training, the crew resource management? Can you request not to fly with someone again? We are all human, so yeah, it happens sometimes. We always fly with a lot of different colleagues, so one day you have one guy, the other day another girl, or you know, a new guy, an old guy, experienced, not experienced. There is always a lot of variety, a lot of different hobbies, so a lot of stuff to talk about in the cockpit. And of course our CRM training also covers these subjects. Like, Pete, you're now an old fart, so please pay a little bit attention as well to the young guys. We get a CRM training every year. And of course, flying according procedures. That also helps in working together. So just follow your procedures, you can fly with every other pilot. How predictable is your roster? Schedules do change once in a while. You get called out from a standby, or you have the schedule change. Well, yeah, that happens. It comes with the job. But our weekends are always fixed. Every 5 weeks I get a new schedule, and in these 5 weeks there are a couple of days off. My company will not touch these days, so at least I know then when I'm off. Ooh, yeah, that's a difficult one. COCKPIT-8778. Can you explain the difference between RNP, VORDME, Star, ILS, ILS Yankee Zulu? Yeah, well, I've written down a few things about this. The short answer, a star is an arrival route to get to the airports. Also, we have a SID as ID, which is a standard instrument departure routing. The star will bring you either to an ILS, a VOR, or an RNP approach. An ILS approach is a precision approach with using a localizer and a glide slope signal. We need radio beacons on the ground to follow an ILS signal. Then of course there's a VOR approach. Also we need a VOR beacon on the ground for that. A bit newer is the RNP approach. It's short for the required navigation performance, and that's actually based on our navigation systems on board, so mainly the GPS. Of course, yeah, when we do have the GPS jamming, we can't follow an RNP approach. RNP approaches are actually used a lot on the smaller Greek islands because you don't need the radio stations anymore. That's a very clever way to approach the runway. All these different approaches, they do actually need a separate video. Maybe I'll do that and just compile a video of a ILS approach, an RNP approach, maybe a visual. Okay, that's for another video though. That's it for this Q&A session. Thank you for all the great questions, and I really hope you learned something. Although this video was of course not a training video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have more questions, put them in the comments and I might even do another Q&A session for you. Next week I'll have another landing cockpit video for you. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next week for another Vliegpiet's Flying Friday. So that's it for this flight. I hope you enjoyed the ride. Please press that like button if you did. And of course you can subscribe over here. I've got some more videos over here and I got a complete playlist over there. And that's it for now. Vliegpiet out.